Oh, welcome to Boxing Media Hub. I just managed to get the Ender's yawn. Welcome. We are going for a fantasy fight, a very interesting one. A fight that potentially could have happened a while back. I think the ship has sailed now. I think it's fair to say.
Yes,
But who
lured,
knows?
I think is the word. It
It's
hasn't.
boxing, isn't it? Who knows? Who knows in this wonderful sport? Joseph Parker versus Lucas Browne. People are probably thinking fantasy, but do you know what? It's one of those where it's kind of it should have happened. What would have happened if
It was
these guys had hit
proportionally
in their
happened
prime?
how many times?
Yeah, because in their primes, I think Lucas Browne was known for just smashing people up, knocking people
Yeah,
out. He was and still is a brick shithouse, to be perfectly
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
He is brutal. He's massive. Joseph Parker, we've seen good performances. We've seen those performances where we thought, oh, that's a bit of a concern. Is he going to come back? He comes back with a better performance and then dips again. But world champion, I know a lot of people turn around and say about Lucas Browne, the drugs test, this sort of thing. He won the WBA regular strap, wasn't it,
Regular
Andy?
belt, yeah. Just emphasize it
So
was the regular belt.
yeah, and then we look at Joseph Parker, who won the WBO. So both
And
guys have had titles. They've all had
well,
all
now
different titles.
Joseph Parker's was far more legitimate. I just want
Yeah,
to say
yeah,
that. And
definitely. Big
he
shout out
fought.
to Macy, as
Hey, mate, he,
always.
and he
Um,
fought Andy Ruiz for it. So
yeah,
I
and credit where credit's due. So
yeah.
let's have a look at Joseph Parker first. If we go right back, the guys had titles throughout. I think it's fair to say with both guys' careers, they've picked up titles across Australia, New Zealand, all along that way.
Mm-hmm.
The first, probably the first test we came across with Joseph Parker was Carlos Takam back in
Mm-hmm.
2016, where he won unanimous decision there.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a big win on paper. Carlos Takam, you think back 2016 as well, he had a good sort of, there was a real power name around Carlos Takam, wasn't there? Back around
Yeah.
that time, a real tough individual to get through. Obviously, then December 2016, Andy Ruiz, which was the majority decision.
For the
Probably,
WBO belt, the vacant WBO belt.
would you say biggest win of the career?
Oh yes, most certainly has to be.
Winning the world title, obviously.
I'm beating Andy Ruiz. I mean, yeah, no, I would say that's Joseph Parker's biggest win. Yes.
And then, obviously, a couple of fights after that, he fought Hughie Fury. There was a bit
Yeah.
of controversy around it because a lot of people actually thought Hughie had won that fight. But to be fair, got the job done. Then he fought Anthony Joshua. There was a bit of controversy around that one as well because people thought that Joseph Parker wasn't able to really get stuck in. Every time he got close, he tried to work the body. The referee got involved and brought them apart. So there was always that thing around the Joshua fight, wasn't there, in that regard? Then we saw the fight with Dillian White, which was a great dust-up between him and Dillian. Dillian obviously won that on unanimous decision, but I think Parker had him reeling on the ropes in round 12. Parker came out
Yeah.
of nowhere, but just it was too late almost. Came back with a win against Flores, got a good few TKOs in a row. Then he hit Junior Farr, which was obviously the local dust-up, should we say, for those two guys. And that was a win on unanimous decision. Then he had the two fights with Derek Chisora, which, to be fair, they were both tough encounters. Because Derek, I think at the time, was he with David Hay? I think at the time,
So.
possibly.
So.
So it was kind of a new reformed sort of Derek Chisora, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joe Joyce, which he took some punches in that fight, and he took some serious punches in that fight, but went right to the 11th.
Mm-hmm.
Nasty stoppage, though. Then, cool, we're running through this. Jack Massey, which was sort of a bit of an underwhelming, wasn't it? And it was a funny one against Jack Massey. And then obviously he had another fight then, and then he had Simon Keane, where he almost saw that back to the old school. Yes, we know about the opponent, Simon Keane, but back to the old school, Joseph Parker, with a fantastic performance, in my opinion. Obviously, Wilder lined up. We can't say too much about that, but just shows the level that he's got himself back up to in those in that contention.
Yep.
God, I'm glad I've got my voice back. Lucas Browne. Lucas Browne. Where do we start with good old Lucas Browne? First, Jason Gavin shows you how far back. December 2012. Interesting one. James Toney, as you mentioned earlier, Ender.
Yeah.
Interesting name on the resume, really. Then he just kept, he sort of conquered around his own country for a while. And then he landed the big one, which was 2016, which was in Russia against Ruslan Shagayev. I'm sure I've probably got that wrong. Or Shagayev.
Shagayev, I would say, perhaps.
And that was a win on TKO, which was for the WBA World Heavyweight regular title.
Yes, regular.
Regular title. But then...
Which is very popular with people who fail drugs bans, it seems.
Obviously we had that issue.
Sorry, serve drugs bans, fail drug tests.
We had that issue. I know, Russ. I know. And then
his Russian is not the best. You should compare the meerkat.
My English isn't great compared to my Russian.
That's true.
Dillian White. Then he won that, stripped of that because of the drugs testing side of things. I think a B sample came back. That was positive as well. So wasn't great. I know he's looked to clear his name since, but obviously he's boxed on since. We saw him against Dillian White. Brutal knockout.
Yeah.
And it wasn't it, Ender? It was a brutal go to sleep, face on the floor job.
Yeah. He butchered him almost as much as you butchered that poor Russian name.
Yeah, true. Sorry about that, people. And then
running slagging. Jesus, I notice how I avoid saying them. I just said the Russian. You know? Honors the Russian.
Put Joel under the bus. Three performances, and then he had Dave Allen, to which Dave Allen put a cracking performance in against Lucas Browne. And then got another win. Then there was the big fight over in Australia against Paul Gallen. Everyone thought Lucas Browne's got this. There was a lot of rivalry. There was a lot behind this one. And then bang, Paul Gallen, round one. I remember watching it live.
Yeah.
It stunned the nation. I'm not going to lie. And since then, he fought Junior Farr, which was just after Joseph Parker had fought Junior Farr. But Lucas Browne finished him in a round. So it's been really bizarre roller coaster ride. Then he had Jarrell Miller, which obviously shows he jumped up another level from Junior Farr, as it were. Lost that on TKO round 6. But obviously, next fight in Dubai. So
absolutely,
it's been a funny old time. Bit of money chasing there, but hats off to him if that's what he's going to go for. Prime Lucas Browne, prime Joseph Parker. There's kind of the backstory.
So what exactly is prime Lucas Browne, Joel? I'm going to put that on you.
Well, I would say
when he won his regular title.
Although, yeah, I suppose that's when you would, because although he won it, he was put down in round 6.
Yeah.
And he got off the canvas to then finish the guy in round 10. There is obviously the drug scandal, but up to that point, and the fight just after that, he was unbeaten, knocking guys out left, right, and centre. So where we know where the drugs test came in, I don't know. But there was obviously a fighter there at one point, and then it hit a point where he needed to do it. Otherwise, he would have been caught before that.
Absolutely.
So credit where credit's due to a point. But that's probably, in a weird kind of way, his prime. Because unless you're looking at knocking out Junior Farr in round 1 when Parker had to go 12 rounds, that's kind of where it's sitting, really. Joseph Parker, obviously Andy Ruiz. He's had some other great performances. As we were saying, the Chisora double. Chisora came at him with everything, and Parker rode it out. A lot of people were a bit disappointed, but it was what it was.
English people got disappointed.
But then the great performance against Simon Keane. So both careers have kind of had this roller coaster ride. Where do you reckon end up? I would have liked to have seen it as a real. Can we call it domestic dust up between Australia and New Zealand? That kind of.
Let's call it a neighbouring dust up.
Let's go for that. What do you reckon?
It's like Ireland versus England, except New Zealand is a lot further from Australia. What I reckon is actually, do you know what I reckon? I reckon we'll let Luke have the first comment.
I've got Jamal here as well.
Oh, well, I've got Luke. I've got Jamal. Well, actually, I have a Ouija board here, and I'm going to ask the ghost of Muhammad Ali who he thinks will win.
Who do you reckon then? Who are you going for? What's Luke gone for?
Luke has gone for Parker by dominating performance and TKO. Which
Lucas Browne did look something for a while, but it all went wrong after the drug test. He has a good KO of Farr at one point.
He did.
So let us know. You're still beating around the bush, Jamal.
So Luke went Parker, and I'm going to go Parker as well. I think again we're talking about levels here. One was the regular champ with perhaps additional help, and the other guy won the WBO strap, beating Andy Ruiz, not John Ruiz. Geez, that's a long time ago. So it's and everybody likes Joseph Parker. He's a really nice guy, and his trainer Andy Lee's a really nice guy. So maybe I'm just hugely biased. I don't think I am, but I just think there's levels, and I think that Parker is at a level above Lucas Browne. The only thing Lucas Browne could obviously do is a shock knockdown or a knockout, and he could easily do that. But I think what we're going to have is more Parker being the more skillful and frustrating Lucas Browne, over the rounds, and then later on, like Luke was saying, and I'm not copying Luke, but it's very similar, that he stops him late on just from sheer work rate and frustration by Lucas Browne. But as Lucas Browne is a big puncher, he could always land that lucky shot. And, as we always say, one punch can change everything in boxing. But in my fantasy fight, he doesn't get that lucky punch. And Parker wins by a late stoppage in rounds 9 to 12.
Yeah, see, Jamal's jumped in. Definitely Parker, though, for sure. Do you know what? Lucas Browne, although he had that power, very flat-footed, very slow individual, very sort of cumbersome, bulky guy.
It's kind of like, I'm big and I can take a punch, and I'm just going to punch you harder.
Yeah, Toby's joined us. Thank you very much, Toby. I've got Joe Parker. He's way more skillful and has a great chin as well.
Oh, like Parker, like let's give Parker his flowers here. Parker's a very skillful boxer. I mean,
Light
so
on
I
his
agree
feet.
completely,
Yeah.
because this is nearly a contrasting styles. You've got the skillful heavyweight against the brawling heavyweight, and I'm back in skill.
Yeah. And for me, I just think Parker had that. He's got that little bit more slipness about him. He
Exactly.
he really evades shots, as we saw against Joe Joyce as well. He
Hmm.
can take those power shots. He took power from Joe Joyce for 11 rounds, and it
Yeah.
was 11 rounds of power.
Yeah.
And he took it until he couldn't take no more. Browne, for me, couldn't go that distance.
Oh no, no. I mean, if you drag
And that's
Browne
the
in three
difference.
quarters,
That's the
he will
difference.
drown. Like if
Yeah,
you
I
drag,
think if you look at a lot of the knockouts and the stoppages, really, other than winning the WBA, which was a bit of help from the juice,
but
was
WA
was
regular now.
was
You
was
know.
was very much though. He got up to round 10. Then, if you look prior to that, ones and twos and threes, and
Hmm.
there were the six and below. So
Hmm.
Parker, for me, he picks the shots well. He throws good volume as well.
Hmm.
I just, for me, I think Parker could get him out of there because of the overwhelming shots.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking
Lucas
about.
Browne will just keep walking forward with his head out,
Yeah, but
and
Lucas
Joe
Browne
will
is
just hit him.
fairly durable. That's why I think it'll go into the later rounds. But so are
For
you
me,
going earlier? Are you going
I'm
6 to
going
9?
6 to 9
Yeah,
for
no, I think
Joseph Parker.
that's fair enough, and I could
Um,
see that happen as well. You know, I mean, like I'd say Parker would like to get out in 6 to 9 as well, but Lucas Browne, he's a fairly durable old lump. But yeah, no, it looks like it's Parker across the board then.
yeah. So as I say, let us know in the comments. Give us your predictions as well.
If you're
I
a
you
Lucas
know what?
Browne fan, tell us we're wrong and tell us why we're wrong. But
At the end of the day, he's still got power. This is the
exactly,
thing.
but
He's
that's the
still
whole
got
point, and
power.
he
In
and he does
heavyweights,
have
it's
power.
there. Parker was one of the hottest prospects out of New Zealand for a long time. And before AJ, he was a deal. Lucas Browne has his moments, but not the same level. Browne is more like a street brawler. Bang, away.
Away, bang away, I presume. The Y's missing, bang away.
I'll take a wah.
And
Right. But yeah.
wow.
A wah. But yeah, I think that's fairly, put together.
Well, yeah, well, we're only laying out our opinions here, and the comments is really where this
But as
is
I say,
decided.
yeah, let us
Uh,
know. Let us know.
in,
Are
in
we
the live comment, it's
overlooking?
all been one-sided. So,
Are we
Brown
overlooking
fans, let
that
us
sort
know.
of prime Lucas, that dangerous Lucas Browne that came out at the start of his career?
Yeah.
Let us know. Chuck us a comment. Give us a prediction. Obviously, these two have got fights coming up as well. Let us know what you think of those. We've got the prediction shows for those already happening. Dillian White nearly unscrewed Lucas Browne's head with a left hand. Yeah, it was awful. I'm not going to lie. I'm with you, Toby. It was probably one of the worst knockouts other than Amir Khan when he went to sleep. It was horrific. It literally, when someone sort of turns and lands face down,
Yeah.
it's criminal. And he was very much asleep. Yeah, ran out of letters. Great one,
You'll have to
Jamal.
get on to Susie and Countdown for a few more letters.
But yeah, let us know, people. Peter Nutt. Browne was
Good man,
beaten by a
Peter.
retired football player in Australia.
Yeah.
100%. That's Paul Gallen.
But in fairness, Peter, we're talking about prime Lucas Browne, and if you can identify when that is, we're saying when it became the
But
WBA
like
regular.
Peter's saying, though, Lucas Browne was massive favourite going into that fight.
Yeah, but
Massive. And he should have done it.
but it looked
Gallen,
like Lucas Browne didn't do a whole pile beforehand, if you know what I mean. He just
yeah,
thought this was a
Gallen
gimmick.
picked it up as a second career, thought
Yeah.
I'll give it a run. And the shot that he beat Browne with
And
was
it's
like
Australian rules football now. He
it
wasn't a
was like
soccer player. You know what I mean? There's a bit of a difference.
yeah. But it was like that.
Hmm.
It was like a sledgehammer, and he knocked him out cold. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Leave us your Gallen beat the shit out of him. Well, there we go. We'll leave it on that one. We'll leave it on that one. Leave us in the comments your predictions for this one. I can see where
And
it's going already.
is there anyone there that gives Lucas Browne a prayer? Jeez,
Yeah,
that rhymes.
exactly. Let us know.
Wait. We've got
Hang
our
on.
boy in. Last minute prediction.
Parker, no doubt.
No
from
doubt.
SWS Boxing. Yeah.
And he was right about Katie Taylor too. So big shout out. I was following along in the chat, and I really appreciate the Katie Taylor love. Undisputed world champion Katie Taylor.
Oh, there you go. It's a different show. It's a different show. But yeah, honestly, guys, thank you very much for all your comments.
No
As
problem.
I say, chuck your predictions below. Better give a shout out. Sponsored by, got to get it right, haven't we? Falcon Contracting and Price Global Solutions. So big shout out to those guys as well who make everything happen.
Absolutely.
And until then, someone's put another comment.
Peter's really doesn't like Browne.
This bloke would be proud. Let's go for it. So until then, we're going to go have some of these.
Have it.